Hi, I'm Ed from badgerboard.org, and this is the first in a series of videos we're going to go through looking at how to make an entire chess set in Onshape, going through from sketches all the way up to three-dimensional shapes to assemblies, and then looking how we might be able to play an interactive game of chess with a collaborator or a friend. So hopefully you're familiar with the layout of Onshape, but if not, check out some earlier videos where we'll go through the navigation. We're going to start today just by creating a new document. So I'm going to click Create Document. I'm going to name this one Chess Set. You can change this later on if you want to. A really good idea when we've started making our pieces, because we're going to end up with a few chess pieces, is to rename the first part Studio. So I'm going to right click on here. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it Queen. What we'll hopefully end up doing at the end of this is having a whole series of parts with every single chess piece, and then an assembly where we put all the pieces together and play a game. So we're going to start today just using the sketch tools. In later videos, we'll look at three-dimensional shapes, but we're just going to start by trying to master the sketch tools. And the first thing I'm going to do is to create a new sketch. So if you imagine that each one of these work planes, each one of these planes is like a desktop, what we're going to do is to create a sketch, and we're going to put a sketch, which is like a piece of paper, on top of that plane. There's a few ways for doing this. The way I like to do it is to left click on the top plane, right click and say New Sketch. And you can see now a virtual piece of paper has appeared on our desktop. We then want to get the top view. So we can either use the view cube up here to get the top view, or the other way to do it is to right click and say View to Normal Sketch Plane. That will zoom us into the right place. Now we're going to be designing ourselves a symmetrical chess piece, this case a queen. So what we're going to do is use a center line because the queen is a symmetrical design. So the very first thing to do, once our sketch plane is open, you'll see we've got some dynamic sketch tools that appear when our sketch plane is open. I'm just going to choose the line tool. I'm going to click, drag, hold, and release along that center sketch plane. There are different ways of drawing lines, of course. I can click and click and click and click and click. Then I end up with a never-ending line. I either have to double click to finish that line, or I have to press Escape or space to get rid of it. Now I've drawn my center line, I need to start creating some shapes. You'll notice we've got different sketching tools that appear. If I hover over them and hold my mouse still, I will get instructions of what that means. There's also, in quite a few of them, a drop-down menu, which gives me a shortcut key and different options of drawing that shape. So for example, I can draw a rectangle from corner to corner, or I can draw a center point rectangle starting from the middle. I'm going to start with corner rectangles. What I'm going to start doing is just start drawing a few different rectangles. I'm just going to go freeform here. I'm not going to worry too much about dimensions. We'll come on to those later on. Just with a bunch of rectangles of different sizes. And what you'll notice as I'm drawing them is each one of these is going grey, showing it's a fully enclosed box. Later on, that will become important. I want my queen to have a little ball on top. And then I'm just going to freeform design a few little features in here. All the time making sure I'm on the center line or above the center line. So I'm just deciding as I go on the fly how I want my shape to look. I'm also going to try using some of these arc tools. I think it should have a nice curve in the middle. And as I hover over the right side of this rectangle, you will see it snaps onto the edge of the box again, which is a really useful feature. So I'm going to click on one. I'm going to click on the other, check it's all connected. Then I can start to change around my radius, have it bulging out or going in. And I'm looking pretty happy with my shape there. So I'll click Done. I can right click to zoom around and just kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to go and need to edit this. And basically I'm going to go and get rid of everything that's on this left-hand side of the center line. So to do that, I need to go back into my sketch. So I'm going to right click on my sketch and say Edit. And then I'm going to go in and modify everything that is to the left-hand side of this line. To do that, I'm going to use the Trim tool, which is shortcut M. I can just go along and start trimming off all the sides of the line that I don't want on that left-hand side. You can see I'm just tidying it all up along that side. Any lines that are a bit longer than I wanted, I can get rid of. I can just start to tidy everything up to get the shape I wanted. Oh, I've made a mistake there. So Control Z to undo, back to M to modify, and I'm back to get out my lines. You see, all the time I want this grey area, this area inside to stay grey. That means it's fully enclosed. And when we work in 3 dimensions, that's going to be really useful. So I'm just deleting all my lines down here. I'm staying with that nice grey shape in the middle. And click to finish my sketch. So I think that's looking fairly queen-like. Now let's just remember that our queen is a symmetrical object. So I can use some really nice tools in CAD now, which is to mirror it. So instead of having to redraw it all over again, I can mirror it. So I'm back in my sketch again. And I've got a whole set of tools. I've got a tool here called Mirror. So I'm going to click on the Mirror tool. Onshape's great because it asks me and gives me some prompts about what I need to do. So first I need to select the mirror line. That's going to be this line that's running down the middle. And then all the entities that I want to be mirrored, I can click them one by one, like so, and you'll start to see them appearing as I go along. Or I can select them en masse by clicking with my mouse and drawing them all across. And now I can see I've got my shape. And I know it's worked because it's all gone grey on the inside. Last thing I'm going to want to do is just trim off using the trim tool or the M to get rid of the center line. So again, I'm clicking down the middle and zooming in and out so I'm nice and accurate. And then when I'm ready, I can finish my sketch. And now I've got my 2-dimensional queen that's drawn out. In the next videos, we'll look at how to make this 3-dimensional. But for now, there are things we can do with this. So number one, if I wanted to, I could right-click on my sketch and export it as a DXF. So if I wanted to laser cut it, this would now be a laserable shape. You can choose how you want to download it. But otherwise, we're ready now to move on, having mastered some of the sketch tools, to try and work as in 3D solid modeling. So have a play around trying to create yourself a king or queen. Remember to make a part studio. Rename your part studio, king or queen. Create yourself a king, create yourself a queen. Don't worry about the sizes, go free form. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.